So my upload schedule is not great at all, to say the least. I don't even know if you can really call it a schedule, since that implies some sort of, planned out consistency regardless of the overall frequency. And for the longest time, I kind of just considered it laziness, which when I really think about it, it doesn't make the most sense, because there's other things in my life that I do that, are evidence to the contrary. I feel like it was something else. It's mainly just a habit for me to consume stuff way more than I actually turn around and make things, which I feel like is pretty normal nowadays. But I can viscerally tell when I just feel worse about YouTube and worse in general when I'm like over consuming stuff all the time. And even to the point where I'll have folders of videos that I like and that I could probably see myself making. On TikTok, I have a folder of it. On Instagram, I have a folder of it. On YouTube, I have a playlist of it. Just so much stuff saved. And it's not even a thing where I'll go back to it and kind of, pull from it, things like that. I'll save it as like, oh yeah, that's something I'd like to make. And then just, it collects dust and I never, do anything with it. But between the habit of like consuming without, making anything or taking any action to compensate for it, and then, getting in my head about if I do make something, how it would be received by people or how it would perform numbers wise, those in part are kind of what makes it so infrequent for me to make stuff as much as I'd like to. But I do think it's pretty important for me to actively be making some sort of videos, because it's just the most familiar sense of creative expression that I have. So I think not doing it, it feels kind of off when I'm not doing it in any way, shape, or form. Mainly posting, because I'll film sometimes, but then I'll just scrap it because it's not, like, it's too shaky, or the footage is too overexposed, or it's not structured at all, so I don't know what I'd really do to make a video out of it. But it just made no sense to me for a while, like why supposedly part of me wants to make videos so bad, but another part of me just can't stand to do anything regarding making them. I think it really just boils down to overthinking, and people do this with a lot of different things. I just happen to do it with, I do it in multiple different aspects, but YouTube is one of them. I'll do it in ways where it's like I'll look into different editors, like different editing softwares, like, and whether it's more ideal than the one that I have now that I've made like practically no videos with, or like a camera, like this camera that I literally bought. It was like $700 at the time. It's more expensive now. And I've posted probably a grand total of 3 videos with it. But when I bought it, obviously it was in my brain like, oh my gosh, this is gonna open up so many, it's gonna make it so much easier to make videos, and it's gonna like, open up so many different opportunities for me to make videos more consistently. But obviously the equipment does not matter. It's more so just getting in the habit of taking action with anything as opposed to overthinking it. Or I can save as many pretty videos as I want. I don't know if that activates something in my brain as if I actually filmed it or made something, but then that wears off really, really fast, because just the idea of thinking like, oh my gosh, I could make this, or I would want to make something like this. This is really nice. The split second you fantasize about making it, after that, you're just back to ground zero and it's like you've made nothing, okay? But if you consume enough of it, then you can kind of just float on that and, vicariously create through other stuff that's already been made by other people. And then like to hide from the discomfort of not making anything or over consuming without, recycling that, I guess you could say, and then producing something out of it, you can kind of just distract yourself with totally unrelated stuff that's being fed to you all the time. So it's literally an endless cycle of just not doing anything. And as more and more time passes, I feel like it gets more difficult for me to just jump right back into what I was planning on doing in the first place. And by harder, I mean, it could be literally speaking, just like getting myself to do it after, or just the habit of inaction all the time. That, and also harder to look at the result of not doing stuff for a long time, like numbers, for example. It's like walking into your place and then seeing like a big plant in your corner that's wilting away and kind of dying. And then instead of like confronting the idea that like, oh man, like due to my lack of action, like my plant's dying, you kind of just like choose to turn away from it, and then you walk into the bathroom, and then you go take a dump on your phone and watch videos on the best spray bottles to spray the plant with water. Like, I feel like that's exactly what it is. And then the more time you spend away from the plant and distracting yourself from it, the more you feel like, oh, I'm just so lazy, like, oh, like, Yeah, I literally failed at taking care of that plant. And then it makes you not want to like actually go back in the living room and like water it or change out the soil. I don't know how to take care of plants. Yeah, it just repeats itself all the time. So it's like the one thing that would make me feel better about posting videos is posting videos. But due to everything I just said, I kind of avoid everything in my power to take action on that, because then you got to confront like previously like misstepped in the past, I guess you could say. And even now, like I'm not saying that, oh my God, I watched like a video or whatever and now I'm a changed man. My habits are completely different. But there's only really one way to get yourself out of it, I think. And I think that's through action of some kind. And the way I plan on getting out of sort of the rut with making videos consistently is just doing the thing. And that's with anything really, just doing the thing. And in this case, for me, it's making videos. And I think once I start and get in the habit and get in the flow of making stuff consistently, or doing something every day that leads towards a video being created, I think I'd feel a lot better in a somewhat short period of time if I just, start doing it consistently. And then, not having to avoid the idea or feel uncomfortable about the idea of making something, because I'm like, yeah, that was like the first thing I did when I woke up. I brainstormed this, I got some editing done, and then once you're on top of it, you don't have to avoid it anymore, and then your relationship with it overall just gets a lot better in a pretty short period of time, I think. Or I could actually put into use all the stuff that I've saved, or any of the ideas that I've had myself for videos, or just things I'd want to do in videos. Then I could actually, make an effort to bring it into a real thing instead of just having it built up. But I want to just get in the habit of making videos more often, whether it's, even if it's not like as prettily shot, has as pretty color grading as someone else, or is as well spoken as someone else, or is as intimate and deep and well thought out as someone else's video. I think just getting in the habit of making and posting something at all would be very beneficial for me, because then I can kind of just, watch it back, which I usually never do with my videos. I'll post it, and then once it's posted, I just never watch it again. And I don't like to watch it again after that. And I don't know why. Very interesting, but it's a thing I do. Hopefully I can figure out why that is. Yeah, and then once I post it, I can watch it back and just pull from things that I've actually done, look at what I've actually already done, and then pick out things that I liked about it and I'd want to keep doing, or things that I didn't really like about it that I could change or just improve on in the next iteration, because the next iteration is going to come so soon after. It'll pretty much still be fresh in my mind, like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do next time, or this time, I guess you could say. And like, the refinement process isn't just about what I'd refine about the finished product. I could also refine like how my process is, so I could actually actionably decide which camera I like filming with more, and which one gets the look I want more, or how I feel like I can most effectively get editing done, whether it's in my room, which probably isn't the best idea, or whether it's at like a coffee shop, which or anywhere, or like a library, I don't know. But iterating on the finished product isn't the only thing that I can do. I feel like I can also reiterate the process of making them as well. So I could really go as in-depth as I want, but just tweaking things after taking action is far better than tweaking the grand idea, the grand plan, and like doing research on like productivity hacks and like, I don't know. I feel like just you'll always learn more from just what you've already done. And I don't know what the ratio should be technically, but I feel like it should be maybe 70% action and 30% research. I feel like that's a pretty good ratio of, of the two to actually get stuff done, but, do it effectively and in a smart way. And even when you learn and do your research, you're kind of just basing it off of what you've already done, and how it applies to what you're actively doing. But yeah, there's a lot of ways that I could just streamline the process of making them, but if I don't have a process in the first place, then that won't even be necessary, and then it will just be extra stuff in my mind. But just attempting to make some magnum opus whenever I'm in a rut and I haven't made anything in like 3 months isn't really gonna work. And it's been proven that that doesn't work for me time and time again. So I think just getting the steady momentum of making something really often would be much more effective for me personally. And then it would just get easier over time to sort of cruise in the lane of action than sit in bumper to bumper traffic of the strictly planning lane, And generally movement creates momentum, so something is always going to be better than nothing. Well, just other stuff in general, whether it's working out or me posting videos or something, whatever I want to apply it to or whatever you want to apply it to, I think the principle is always the same. but just the overarching idea, or even me telling myself that I'm not living up to my fullest creative potential, whatever that may be in my mind, it doesn't feel good. And then it just makes me want to avoid it even more, because then I have to, confront that idea of like that it's something I want to do, but just by not, taking some sort of action every day and creating any sort of momentum, I mean, it's not going to come from nowhere, or it's not going to come from watching some TikTok about how to, what's it called? Whatever you want to call it. I've never found anything online to be that profound, I don't think, Like, it's an ingredient in the process, but, you still have to cook the meal. You get what I'm saying? Also in the past, just letting my perceived laziness of myself helped me get absolutely nowhere positive, and it just diminished the relationship I had with making videos in general. But my plan is to kind of just, take small wins, and until taking action is kind of just the habitual thing for me to do instead of overanalyzing stuff. So even making this video, it's kind of different from what I've ever done. I've never talked this like candidly to the camera before, I think. But yeah, even if it's not something I'm entirely proud of, I feel like just because it's me and whatever I may have going on, I'm always going to be more critical of what I make as opposed to other people. But hopefully after a good little bit of me, having visual proof in my memory of me just like being a person that takes action and stuff, I would kind of just, the idea of me just being a lazy person will kind of just be a thing of the past, I don't know. I feel like I'd want my channel to sort of reflect the process of me growing into someone that I'd more closely want to view myself as ideally, whether that's like physically, mentally, emotionally, anything like that. And more so probably just for myself to see it, but also I feel like it could also be I think that it could be beneficial for someone else just watching, who might be in a similar situation, or not a similar situation, but just has similar thoughts or something like that, because none of our thoughts are that unique, I think. So someone could totally be in a similar situation that I'm in. But I think it would also be really, really nice to just have this channel be sort of a time capsule of seeing the person that I was, the person that I'm becoming, and the places I've been and the people that I've been to said places with. I think that would all be very nice. It's sort of a way for me to just freeze time, even just for like 15 minutes, so I don't forget how it is right now. With everything I just said, it will lead to me making more videos, but I'm not gonna sprint right out of the gate. But yeah, that's pretty much it.